All right.
Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar about managed risks and secure flows in industrialization, project logistic management. Anders, could you please tell us more about why we are here today?
Hi, thank you. Yes, well, Myloc, we have come to a point now after 10 years of developing this concept of construction logistics and project logistic management, where we have grown over hundreds of projects, and we feel that we come to a maturity level, including how to onboarding partners and clients that taking another step outside Nordic feel like a natural next step for us. So I hope everyone will enjoy this webinar series, and most welcome to you.
Great. So let's start with a quick presentation of us. So Anders, what is your role at Myloc?
Yes, well, I'm the director of Myloc Construction, and with a background from business and management, the last 10 years, I've been together with the team here, been developing the concept, the software, and the market implementation in the Nordic countries. So basically, I've been sleeping, thinking, and dreaming about construction logistic issues for the last 10 years. Fortunately, I'm not alone here today. Dennis, who are you?
Okay, I don't know if it's the same with you, Dennis, but can you please quickly describe your role?
Yes, hello and welcome. My name is Dennis Osnowski, and I work as a logistics consultant with specialization in implementing lean logistics methods with system support in construction projects. I'm quite active and currently involved in about 10 big construction projects in Sweden and Norway. And today I will share my experience of the methods we use to manage the logistics in these challenging projects. We're also joined by you, Johanna, who will be our outside troubleshooter and who hopefully can help us moderate this webinar. Could you tell us a little more about yourself?
Thank you. So my name is Johanna Linder, and I have a broad background in supply chain management, leading both logistic operations and logistic projects for more than 15 years. And I spent many years managing supply chains in challenging conditions, like an Ebola hospital in Liberia, or mass measles vaccination, vaccinating 1 million children in a week, or managing logistics for a prefab hospital in the middle of nowhere in South Sudan, and of course a lot of more projects. And today you find me at Sweco, one of Europe's leading engineering consultancies. And as you said, Dennis, I'm here today to provide an outer perspective. So Anders, after meeting your clients and users for for the last 10 years, how would you like to describe Myloc today?
Well, first of all, this is the first in a series of 3 webinars, and the themes of them respectively typically reflects the major areas of discussions and with different clients, and obviously the first one that we will stick on today is what is it? How do you use it? What's the benefits of this concept and the software? Next week, we will talk about the fact that this is digitalized. What does it mean in kind of benefit with data control, etc. And in another week, on September 19th, we will talk about the implementation process that is really crucial to being successful.
Okay, so
yes.
It's time to move back to this week's webinar. And if you have any questions during the webinar, please write them in the chat, and we will take them at the end. So now I turn to you, Dennis. After working focused on several mega projects the last years, what are your observations in terms of challenges?
So the listed challenges here to the left in the picture are more or less common for all construction projects. However, I believe some of them are more prominent in mega projects. In my experience, the main challenges differ between residential mega projects like skyscrapers and industrial mega projects, think like big plants and research facilities. For residential, I would say that the number of contractors and suppliers working simultaneously is a prominent characteristic. The great number of simultaneous work obviously results in a need of a lot of materials delivered to site with often limited or minimal space because it's usually built in the city. And a very common bottleneck for skyscrapers are the hoists, which need to move personnel and materials up and down. For industrial, however, the number of contractors and suppliers will usually be fewer, but the delivered goods will be greater in both weight and size, and therefore more complex to handle, not least the movement on site from A to B with specialized equipment. The size of the delivered modules will often mean that once the module is moved from A to B, it can be very hard to move it back to A if someone messed up with the sequence. So sequencing of the deliveries according to the installation sequence is often crucial in industrial mega projects. And last but not least, the logistics chains are usually more global in the industrial project, which does not make it easier to sync the deliveries with the production plan. And as you can imagine, these challenges lead to a number of risks. Some of them are listed here to the right. Johanna, do you recognize these risks?
Well, I always say that the rules of the game are the same in all supply chains, but the challenges depends on context, speed, and size. And of course, it seems it all applies here too. You are describing different situations where ad hoc management leads to major or minor delays, cost surprises, or last-minute reprioritizations. I've often seen that late involvement of supply chain people or supply chain strategies and tools means that problems start to bulk up already from day one. So when someone finally gets to focus on the logistic, they must often run the operations and clean up the mess at the same time. If we're looking at this list of risks, are any of those that you would like to highlight extra, Dennis?
Yeah. The big projects are usually keen on building as fast as possible. Otherwise, they would take too much time. And one of the only methods for building faster is more simultaneous work, which requires simultaneous deliveries. And the more deliveries, the greater risk for domino effects. So a delay in one planned delivery will cause delays for upcoming deliveries. And if these small issues are multiplied and happen often, we will get delays in the project as a whole, which is a very unwanted thing. So transparency and control without a big administrative burden is more important on these fast building big projects to avoid the risks as much as possible. Let's head over to the next slides and see more details.
Yeah, because I was thinking that I know that Anders, you have been focused on empowering clients to meet these different challenges in these projects. And I guess also these mega projects, they are nothing new. So before entering this market, what kind of solutions did you observe?
Well, yes, and no, they are certainly not new. I mean, since the pyramids were built, there has been mega projects from time to time. What we see when we enter new clients and get into the details, we see that they traditionally try to make the use of labor, more consultants, and perhaps with simpler digital facilities like spreadsheets or calendars. To try to overcome all these obstacles with bottlenecks, constraints, and the need for oversight of the planning. However, I think experience talks for itself. It has some limitations, and it easily become reactive rather than proactive. So, what the thing is here. At the end of the day, it's very difficult to delegate or make someone else take responsibility for the coordination, because it all adds up at the same place and the same time. Different operators needs to be able to coordinate in a very efficient way. So yes, trust can be delivered, but the control is typically limited because the lack of transparency and lack of digitalization, basically.
Yeah, so either you need an incredible project manager, or you can have an okay project manager with a bit of more system support.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
Dennis, could you describe for us the Myloc approach a bit more in detail?
Sure. So the work with the logistics method can be divided into two main phases, the planning phase and construction phase. The goal with the planning phase is to develop a logistics plan that will support efficient logistics and minimize the risks in the construction phase. The steps we like to do are to start off with analyzing the logistics with volumes, accessibility, time frame, required unloading times, resources, and so on. And after that, the design can start where you specify the material flows. For example, will there be direct deliveries or through consolidation centers? What resources will be available and when? Access road, gates, automatic or checkpoints with gate guards, roles and responsibilities, and what should be planned and reported and in Myloc and so on. It's a huge advantage to have this design ready before the contracting and procurement phase, where the planned routines can be a part of the contract with the contractors and their suppliers. The last step before the construction phase is the implementation, where the project members are trained in the method, routines, and system use. In the construction phase, you execute the methods by continuing to plan activities in the common logistics system and communicate with other project participants, report activities in real time, which gives you the transparency, feedback from KPIs. The method and the plan with the support of a common logistics system leads to a more uniform way of working for the project as a whole, rather than independent units doing their thing their own way, and that leads to a more predictable production. Over to you, Johanna.
I think that was quite well explained, but is it possible, Anders, could you visualize or describe what this means more concretely on the project site?
Thank you. Yeah. Basically, what we are providing is a toolbox with a lot of components that you can use when you configure your solution and the way you operate and source it. So what I have tried to describe here in this slide is three different examples of logistic scenarios that could happen in a big project. The first one is the typical provision of international deliveries, perhaps equipment to the project. The second one could be construction material in general that we plan to operate and run in a certain way. And the third one could be, I don't know, concrete or maybe excavation transports. The thing is, we can aggregate this on all levels desired, meaning we can have an overview, share information, and be prepared and proactive to whatever happens in the project.
Okay, that's well, it sounds quite impressive, and I guess impressive is needed when you steer these sizes of project. But how does this work? How do you ensure this immense information flow without everyone getting overloaded?
Well, actually, it's the other way around. Information sharing is made automatically when you have a digital tool for collaboration. And what we can see in this picture is like an overview of the control tower. So you have the resource and management, supply chain and transport management, access control, warehousing at the top. And you can look at that from any aggregation level for the whole project or for part of the project. In the operational part, at the bottom, you can see there is, for the everyday work, there is support for planning, reporting, deviation reporting of logistics, feedback to all users, and a simple way of collaborating inside your own part of the project or within the project as a whole, all supported by a digital portal, internet portal, or an app for the field work.
So you would say it's a user-friendly system or a user-friendly control tower?
We like to think so. There are a few thousands of people working on an everyday basis in this platform, executing all these different tasks and operating management issues. So we would say yes, it is. And I think we will come to show you a few of the kind of clients that we're working with currently.
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So we just made a short list with some example of different clients, just to give everyone an idea about the kind of clients and the kind of project we're involved in. And as everyone can see, here is infrastructure and civil projects, there are healthcare projects, high-risers, industrial projects, city development. And over the years, we have seen more and more proof that the concept is applicable to basically all these kinds of large projects. Regardless if it's a city one or green field outside.
That's a huge number of projects. Impressive. So with the experience from these projects, what are typical questions and challenges that you get from users or from users or clients projects?
Yeah, well, the first one is typically, this is basically is too good to be true. Not so much anymore, as we are building a longer reference list with more and more clients. But a typical question otherwise that comes back to us still is some fear or doubt that my contractor or different operators might be skeptical or reluctant to work in this kind of industrial and digitalized way. And it's still the case that you will find perhaps 10% of those that is actually is expressing doubt and so on. But when we're looking behind after the projects, when we see that we have completed them and we make lessons learned sessions and so on, I would say it's very difficult to find any negative feedback from all these operators. From top to bottom, the typical response is rather, we would like to do more. If we knew the capabilities that we know of now, we would have had an even higher level of demand or expectations on this. Another thing is, I think more like an observation, is that it tends to be that the higher ambition you have in terms of steering this, putting a higher demand on the contractors and suppliers and so on, actually, the happier they get, the faster and the less time consuming the work with logistics is, the more automatic everything turns out. So dare to put high demands, trust the concept and the model. I would say that is perhaps the overall experience and observation we have.
Okay, here we go. I got a question here. Can you integrate Myloc with other systems, meaning transport systems, warehouse management systems, and so on?
Yes, thank you. We will talk a lot more about that next Tuesday. But yes, we have. There are many integrations right now with third-party freight forwarders, with different kind of business systems, supplier systems, transport management systems. We have integration with design systems that can generate the material order. So this is an open architecture, and we feel that it is becoming more and more embedded in the ecosystem of construction and projects. There is a lot left to do, but we have a number of existing standard APIs that we can provide to our clients.
Okay, great. Are there anyone else having a question? Please write it in the chat. Otherwise, I will ask mine. I as I said before, there's quite a lot of risks always coming up, kind of the same ones. So what would you say is the main areas, not risks, but areas of risk or risks that you are able to manage in with the system?
Well, the risk of not knowing beforehand and being forced to be reactive, emergency alerts, avoiding that is the biggest advantage, I would say. There is some of our clients, specifically if it's a project owner or developer, they have initial doubts whether they are perhaps taking over responsibilities from an EPC or a contractor. That does not have to be the case at all, actually, and we have no really experience in that happening. But it all depends on that you're doing the implementation in a proper way and align the contracts with the model. So that,
okay,
that
so
might be another.
actually we got a question exactly on that, because you are saying so there's a lot of maybe doubt and then it's good to get this into the contract. So the question is, when is it time-wise ideal to contact you to benefit the most out of your experience and your tool?
Yeah, well, it's long before there are any trucks lining up outside the gates of the project, I must say, and it's not really true anymore. But for a long time, we said, like, we have never been invited or committed to a project too early, because it tends to be too late. You don't see the problem in front of you. There is a lot of other things going on, but before setting up the contract, prepare and decide upon a logistic design and solution, and implement that and align it in your contract with different EPCs or suppliers or contractors, whatever level you're working in. Then that will make the trick, and that will simplify implementation and improve the benefits hugely. Yes.
Okay, and got a question here. Do you have any user groups that would be able to contact upcoming that could have, I guess, as a reference, or you could speak a little bit about their experience?
Yeah. Well, I could say there are a few informal ones. The problem with working with the big project is that people tend to, the project ends, people change positions and perhaps enter new positions and new jobs. So we don't have like a user forum yet. On the other hand, there are users from different clients that have like an informal dialogue facilitated by us from time to time, and we are happy to facilitate even more of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So could you explain, we are just when you are talking about the contract, just for me to understand that, and I am not in these big industrialization projects, but so meaning when you are starting to write contracts with different so already in the RFQ process, you would like to be involved and give input?
Yeah, no, yeah, well, before that, actually, yes. That's right. And once you've done it, it becomes obvious and clear, but it's still those issues tend to linger, not being settled, and then you end up with a project that is not well enough managed in the logistics way. So you probably will end up with additional cost, or in worst case delays, unwanted. I must say that there is a difference because of companies like ourselves and others. This is an area that becomes more and more, the awareness is growing, you could say, and it's becoming a more and more of a natural step to address logistics early. We really like to underscore the importance of that and the value.
Okay, so if we have found this interesting and we would like to just continue the dialogue with Myloc, what are the easiest and best steps to take tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, you enter our webpage and just sign in and tell us that you have an interest and want to speak more, and we will be happy to get back to you.
Okay, great. So if there are any questions, I give you a couple of seconds to write them. Or if Anders or Dennis, you have some last words that you would like to chip in.
I think we covered the concept as such, but this is the first of 3 webinars. And I think we had one of the questions were related to digital or digitalization integration. We will dive a lot more into that and the capabilities and the possibilities next Tuesday.
That's great. I got 2 more here,
and
so we are quickly on those ones. Anders, how do you convince the client to start a logistic planning process early enough to have a prepared master plan before the dialogue with the contract market?
Well, I would say there is 2 things. One is the experience from mega project is growing in general, and so are the experiences and observations. So I would say it tends to get easier. But secondly, we have many testimonials that we can refer to, and a number of success stories on a more detailed level where we can clearly show how this has made a big difference and an impact. So I'd say it's in a dialogue form. This awareness grows, and we are building it together.
Okay. And you listed projects in Norway and in Sweden. Can you start a project in Europe within 3 months? How fast can you?
Well, yes, we could start it in 3 weeks from a digital perspective. The process of implementing and doing the analysis phase that Dennis described before should preferably take a little bit longer, but the software is there. It's available in English, basically off the shelf right now. So 3 weeks would not be a problem.
Okay, great. So then I would like to say a big thank you for today. And we hope to see you all participants in the upcoming webinars focusing on data, control, and transparency on September the 12th, and implementation on September the 19th. So I wish you all a great rest of the day, and see you next time.
Thank you.